drinking the wine, and as the evening progresses and the wine flows more freely, the heart becomes light, the lips loose. And Herod sent for one of the dancers. It just so happens it was his wife's daughter. She came in, and the writers would have you to believe that when she got through dancing, in today's vernacular, men were standing on their feet, throwing their mugs in the air. Herod was so moved that he had one of those if you last forever moment. He said, look, I'm so moved by this that anything you want, I'll give it to you, up to a certain percentage of my kingdom. But she didn't have an agenda, so she didn't really know. She goes to her mother and she says, Mother, what should I ask for? This is the golden moment. Mother said, well, we don't need anything else because I'm the queen, you know. I'm on the inside. Don't need any pearls or diamonds. She said, but I'm tired of John the Baptist calling my name out in the village, even though he's in jail. My husband got him there for safekeeping, but he's still sending word to his boys. The king ain't right. And not only is the king not right, the king's wife's not right. She said, I'm tired of it. She said, go ask him for the head of John the Baptist. So this was an opportunity for her to deal with her desire to get even with John, an opportunity for her to attempt to what she thinks make things right. She goes and the daughter goes back and says to the king, says, King, I want the head of John. Brought to him on a silver platter. King was disturbed because the king also understood something else. He understood that John was a righteous man, and that John was just calling an ace and a spade a spade. He could live with that. He had what he wanted with him every night. So he didn't have any problems with what John was saying, because he said, I can deal with John. John is not saying any more than the rest of the fellows are saying, and I can deal with it. But I'm not going to go into a war with a holy man just because he's called me out. I needed to be called out. I know I'm wrong. I know I have violated all of the ethical codes. So I understand that I deserve to be called out on this moment. But his wife had a different view. When she asked for the head, when her daughter asked for the head of John, the king said, I cannot afford to back down in front of people. And let me stop here for a moment. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you were doing the wrong thing, but you couldn't afford to back down in front of the boys or the ladies? I don't know about you, but every now and then you find yourself sometime in a situation where somebody calls you on something. And you say, well, I really don't want to go down that road, but I can't. I'm too far now. I can't back down, because if I back down, what are they going to say? If I turn around, what are they going to say? Let me give you a more simple approach that may not be as threatening on something. Have you ever been in a car with somebody and they told you you're going down the wrong road? And you said to yourself, no, I'm not down the wrong road. I know I'm not down the wrong road. And somewhere halfway down there, a voice inside of your head says, you're on the wrong road. But you cannot afford to back down. So what do? Sometimes you go to the end of the road, or sometimes you go all the way around in circles to come back, and hoping that the person who told you that would not call you. But every now and then, sometimes people will call you on it. They said, hey, Bob, I told you was on the wrong road. Now, my wife will do it all. She'll call me on it every day. She'll say to you, I told you before we left the house that you should have got directions. And let me say, and this is key to one of the points I'm trying to make. Sometimes you want to react differently, but the restraints of knowing that the person is right keeps you from saying what you want to say. So you take it. So, but John, the king, knew that he couldn't back down. He didn't want to give up John's head. John didn't want to give up his head. But the circumstances and the peer pressure and the lack of institutional courage and cowardness caused the king to hold fast to his promise, even though he knew he was wrong. So the first thing is, when you find yourself in a situation where you have overextended your obligations for right or wrong, one of the things that we understand is that in that situation, we should have the courage to admit that we are wrong, ask for forgiveness, and move on. We don't gain anything by doubling down on something when it's wrong. The king doubled down. He gave up John's head. But when we look at the desire and opportunity, the king had an opportunity based on the desires that he had made, the situation he had made because of his desire. He had an opportunity to do the right thing, but he didn't do the right thing. He took the easy road out. How many times have we taken the easy road out just to save face? And the second thing, how many times, if we look at this story, have we allowed the desires of the moment to rule our lives? How many times have you wanted something so bad, or you wanted it so, it was such an issue for you, that you allowed it to override your good judgment and logic? You knew you were wrong. You knew you weren't in the right arena. But you enjoyed the moment so. The flesh was so tempting. The moments of self-indulgence, if you're just sitting there eating, and it could be as simple as eating too much. The third piece of pie, when you've had two. And a voice says to you, you've had enough. And then you look at that other piece and you say, I got to take care of that too. Then later that night, something comes up and you find yourself with cramps in the stomach, and a voice reminds you, you should have listened to the first voice. But sometimes we allow the moment, the desires of the moment, to rule us. And then the other thing, which is interesting, that when you look at this and desires and opportunity, how many times have we allowed our past to determine our present behavior? You know, we all got skeletons in the closet. It's just the fact that some of us are not skeletons, some of them are mummies. See, with skeletons, you got to get a forensic person to find out what it is. But if it's a mummy, the evidence is still there. You can see the facial recognition. This is John, or this is Mary. This is who they got in the closet over here. But if it's a skeleton, they don't know. We all have skeletons. But one of the things that Jesus talked about, ask for forgiveness. Clean out your closets of the things of the past. Don't allow yourselves to become prisoners of your past. See, sometimes we are unable to go forward because we're so worried about what we did yesterday that we can't make a decision today. We stand in a particular place, frozen to the moment, because our past, we feel, is of such horrendous state that we can't do anything objectively. But we find Jesus saying to you, I came to forgive sins. I came to give you an opportunity to start fresh. So don't allow your past mistakes to limit your opportunities to do that which is right. Then the other thing, when we seize the opportunity, of the moment. You see, sometimes we seize the opportunity of the moment based on our desires, not based on what's right. Let me give you a kind of a everyday thing. Have you ever went in the store to buy something and you really wasn't in the store to buy what it was, but the salesperson walked up to you and said, I got a sale going on today. They got sales on shoes. You buy one pair, I give you a pair. And all of a sudden, this is an opportunity that you had not. And sometimes we allow those kinds of opportunities to change our behavior, drain us of our resources, drain us of our who we are at the moment, because the opportunity, as we think, is so great. But it's one of those issues that prick the desire in us to reach beyond us. But when we ask ourselves, we must stop and ask ourselves this final thing. When I'm acting, when I'm seizing the opportunity, when I'm acting on the opportunity or my desires, is it Christ-like? That's one of the lessons that we look at when we look at John losing his head. Herod had an opportunity not to compound one mistake, one issue of taking his brother's wife. That's bad enough. But the more he got involved with it, every opportunity he had to right the ship, the desires of the moment caused him to go further down the road. This morning, we find some of us sometimes find ourselves in that situation. We want to, as Paul said, we want to do right. But the things that we want to do, we sometimes find ourselves not doing them. And the things that we don't want to do, we find ourselves doing. You know, we find ourselves sometimes doing what we want to do because we want the moment to last forever. But then if we stop and think about what Jesus says, you bring nothing in, you take nothing out. He says, I want you to know that nothing, that everything will pass away, but it's only what you do for Christ that will last. So he's saying to you and I this morning, as much as we get hung up on the material things, on the moments of feelings, on the possessions that we have, don't allow the opportunities to acquire or to build. Don't allow those opportunities and those desires to override what is Christ-like. When I looked at this and I read it again and again, and I've often read it for looking at it from John losing his head, but then it dawned on me that in all of life's intrigues, wrapped up between desire and opportunity. Most of the times when we stray to the left or to the right, it's based on our desire or the opportunity. But Jesus is saying to you and I this morning, you got to keep your eyes focused on what's important. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. The desire and the opportunity, those are distractions. They'll come and go. But who you are and what you believe and what makes you who you are, that will last forever. See, Herod had a chance to right the wrong. He had a chance to build on the reputation of the Herods, the king. But he got so caught up in the moment that he lost his way. One of the things that we need this morning as we look at this is to make sure that when an opportunity presents itself, we have to ask ourselves, is this a moment that will allow me to exhibit my Christ-like behavior? Or is it a moment that will allow me to deal with my own desires and my own ambition, or my own frustration, or my own anger? That's key. I was talking with a colleague of mine on last evening, and he asked me a question. He said, "Bob, how do you think the rest of the month will go?" And then he said something that was interesting. He said, "I'm frustrated." I said, "Why are you frustrated?" He said, "Because I don't understand the logic." And I said, "What logic?" He said, "I don't understand the logic as to why people look at things and feel when they don't get what they want, they have been slighted." And I said to him, "What is your frustration? If it comes to your door, how will you react?" I said, "We all react differently, but the true males of a man is, what did he have his eyes set on when he started out? If he's convinced that he's on the right road, he don't have any problems dealing with the opportunities and the desires that may distract him, because he's focused on the goal of getting there." So my friend said, "Yes, I can understand that." He said, "But I'm talking about those who come to the end of the day and it seems like they're starting over again." I said, "That's life." And I thought about it, and we talked about it, and we came to the conclusion that we all are like that in life. In the morning when we're young, the world is at our feet. Time is too slow. We never have enough time to do what we want. But as we grow older, we recognize that there are some moments that we want to last forever. And then there's some moments that we don't. The moments that we want to last forever is those moments when we felt that it was all over, and Jesus reminded us that he was with us. Those moments that we want to last forever are those moments when the sunshine finally breaks through the cloud of our lives, when we felt down and out, and suddenly someone sings a voice of a verse of a song, "Love lifted me." We want those moments, because it is in those moments that we want to last. Is the moments when we get a touch or a taste of the divine. The moment when we can see ourselves as we are, children of the heavenly King, who depends upon him, and he takes care of us. When I think about John, who did what Jesus asked him to do, not counting the cost. When I think of Herod, who had an opportunity to correct a mistake and did not. And then when I think about his wife, who had the desire to deal with revenge. A tragedy of life. But so often we all live in that tragic arena. We have an opportunity. We have a desire. And the choice we make depends upon where we will end up in eternity. That's the choice. Will you make the right choice to correct a mistake when you have the opportunity? Or will you allow your desires to dictate your behavior on down the road? The choice is yours. To God be the glory. Great things he has done. This morning, I invite you, as we stand and sing a verse of the invitation hymn, Pass Me Not. If you wish to spend a moment at the altar, it is available. But won't you join and sing with me, Pass me not, O gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Won't you stand now? Pass me not, O gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. Alone others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Savior, oh Savior, hear my humble cry. While thou art calling, do not pass me by. And I'm saying, Savior, oh Savior, hear my humble cry. While on other side calling, do not pass me by. Yes. Savior, oh Savior, hear my humble cry. While dost thou art calling, do not pass me by. Savior, oh Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Thank you. I want to this morning say we have a celebrity among us. One of our young members went to Albany, stole the show, stood before the people, and said, "Who is that young lady?" And she stood there and she made us proud. I said, "Look at her." You know, unlike some of us older folks, her knees didn't buckle, her hands didn't shake. She didn't look down. She did what she needed to do on center stage and moved off. Thank you for representing us. Kalanda. Okay. You know, she's so modest, you know, said, oh, well, you know, just an everyday thing, you know, at that point. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I would like to play Kalana did participate in the missionary program on last night, Friday night.
Right.
And I want to play that for everyone. Wait a minute, let me start it. One second. Volume.